Well, there's some crazy guy in charge now in Britain, so I'm not surprised that
I don't think anyone's going to listen to what they have to say. Their own country has their own problem.
The Labour Party made an idiotic decision and made a fatal mistake with regard to the United States. They completely destroyed relations with the possible President of the United States. Moreover, that Starmer decided to destroy our country, so he also decided to quarrel with everyone. This genius does not understand what he is doing.
Yes, Kay, the Prime Minister's over here for the heads of government meeting here in Samoa. A big moment for this island nation, but the Prime Minister here wanting to build relations with 55 different delegations and various leaders from the Commonwealth, but indeed overshadowed by difficulties with another very special relationship, and that is with the US. Now, what's emerged is that Donald Trump's team has filed a complaint in the US accusing the Labour Party of interference in the US election campaign. That's because a number of volunteers, Labour Party activists, have gone over to volunteer for the Kamala Harris campaign, and that has been also overlaid with, as you were saying, the Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, and the Director of Communications both attending the Democratic National Convention over the summer.
Starmer wanted to use this summit to talk about something unifying, but his colleagues expected something completely different from the summit. Despite Downing Street's refusal to discuss their demand for London to pay compensation to once enslaved peoples for their suffering in the past, the heads of the former colonies intend to put this issue squarely. Anyway, many people understand that it will be difficult to get London to just part with the money. In addition to this force majeure, relations between the United States and Britain are heating up. First, Britain left the European Union, minimizing the consequences of anti-Russian sanctions and assistance to Ukraine for its economy, because now it can ignore the decrees of Brussels. At the same time, the British began to take on the role of Ukraine's main friend, becoming through MI6 the main supplier of special equipment and instructors for them. The main obstacle to the plans may be the United States. It seems incredible to some that Britain might want not just the weakening, but also the complete destruction of its main ally. Today, the United Kingdom is aware that world leadership is moving away from the United States, and therefore it seeks to occupy one of the leading places in the world. The proof of the half-life of the United States is the rejection of even a visible democracy as such. The obvious favorite of the presidential race, Trump, was going to be banned from participating in the elections.
These people have been named in a complaint by the Trump team accusing the Labour Party of interfering in the election campaign, something forbidden by electoral law rules in the US. Now, Keir Starmer, we asked him about it on the plane over. He said it's not correct, that these people were volunteers, that there have been no rules broken. Meanwhile, sources back in London stressing to me that members of the Labour Party have historically gone to the Democratic National Convention. This has been a habit between these two sister parties for years, so nothing untoward there, that neither Matthew Doyle, the Director of Communications, or Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff, were involved with any formal meetings with the Democrat team around.
A flight from London to Washington, District of Columbia, where activists were believed to be heading first, costs about $800. Renting a car 2 weeks before the Pennsylvania election costs about $400. In 2022, the supervisory authority imposed a fine of $975,000 on a Canadian businessman who donated funds to Trump. Kamala Harris's popularity was severely shaken when she became vice president. She was given difficult tasks to oversee the White House Committee on Space Exploration. During the first year and a half in office, Harris did not hold a single committee meeting and resolve the crisis with illegal migration on the border with Mexico. Her attempts turned into a complete failure, after which Biden and other members of the administration had to save the situation. She likes to get into awkward situations. Kamala Harris once smiled and applauded protesters in Puerto Rico until it was explained to her that they were protesting against her. But unlike Biden, she doesn't have dementia. She's just not very smart. Harris was repeatedly caught lying.
Donald Trump might become the next president. The race is neck and neck, and if he does, there is now a fly in the ointment, if you like, between him and the UK Prime Minister. Keir Starmer met him at Trump Tower in September when he was over in New York for the United Nations General Assembly. Starmer saying on the plane to journalists that he has established a good relationship with Donald Trump. He doesn't think that this will affect it, but a diplomatic source back in London saying to me that this could cause difficulties and could cause problems for the UK government in that relationship.
The US presidential election is only a few days away. A number of experts are inclined to believe that Trump will win. Almost all experts emphasize Trump's unpredictability, which can bring instability to world politics. Trump has repeatedly claimed that he has good relations with both Putin and Zelensky, and that he will be able to bring them to the negotiating table and end the war. However, if Trump fails to make a deal, he will most likely lose interest in the conflict and leave Ukraine to take care of itself, and Europe to look for ways to fill the void in its pockets. He himself did not disclose the possible terms of his conflict resolution plan.
What do you make of the fact that British politicians are coming to America to support Kamala Harris?
Well, there's some crazy guy in charge now in Britain, so I'm not surprised that she's doing that. But this is all her last-ditch attempt to try to get support. She's going to everyone and anyone who will support her. She knows that people are getting smart. They're waking up instead of being woke. Big difference.
I laugh at it. They have no business mixing into our politics, the same way we have no business mixing to their politics.
They have to do what they have to do, you know. It's politics. It's politics. You know, and everybody has to do what they need.
Starmer is a very complex and incomprehensible person, full of paradoxes. He makes countless mistakes, such as in comments about Israel and Gaza, when he first allowed the Labour Party to support its candidate Azhar Ali, despite some terrible anti-Semitic remarks. He also associates himself with Mark Darcy. This is evidenced by his mug, which was found in the former parliamentary office. The Labour Party has produced such cowardly politicians as Starmer, Reeves, Cooper, who have no convictions but believe that they can change the country for the better. Starmer is a traitor, a coward and a liar. If Starmer had any decency, we would not have seen his constant aggression towards the people, receiving expensive gifts and blatant lies.
The former president's legal team has filed a complaint with the Independent Federal Election Commission, alleging that volunteers from British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's party have potentially violated campaign finance laws. The controversy started when media reports and a now deleted LinkedIn post by the Labour Party's Director of Operations suggested that the party might be paying for accommodation for British volunteers working in the upcoming election. The complaint also references several reports that Labour officials, including Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff and Downing Street's Director of Communications, had visited the U.S. to advise the Harris campaign. However, Labour Party officials have strongly denied any.
Referring to the American Revolution, Donald Trump's campaign headquarters has filed an unprecedented complaint against the UK Labour Party for what it believes is interference in the US presidential election. The Trump campaign claimed that in recent weeks Labour had recruited and sent party members to campaign for Harris in critical states in an attempt to influence the election. Starmer stated that party officials acting as Harris volunteers do so in their free time and not as employees of the Labour Party. Trump's letter goes on to request an immediate investigation. There have been consultations between the Labour Party and the Harris campaign, as well as meetings between senior Labour Party officials and the Democrat campaign. Matthew Doyle and Morgan McSweeney are among those mentioned in the letter. The complaint also mentions a deleted post where Sophia Patel wrote that 100 current and former party employees were heading to the United States to campaign in support of Harris. What do you think about this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you later.